You've just turned off the lights, and you're lying in bed, doing what every responsible adult your age does, calculating exactly how many hours of sleep you'll get if you fall asleep right now. Congratulations. You've just enrolled in the nightly masterclass of overthinking that's been running since you hit your 30s. Or maybe it started when you had kids, got that promotion, or realized your retirement account isn't quite what those financial planning articles said it should be. Your body is tired, your eyes are heavy, but your brain has decided this is the perfect time for a comprehensive life review, starting with that mortgage refinancing decision from 2009 and ending with whether you should switch health insurance providers during open enrollment. Welcome to what Buddhist monks have been dealing with for 2,500 years, except they didn't have to worry about their kids' college fund or whether that weird pain in their knee meant they should finally see a doctor. Lucky them. Right now, you're experiencing what the Buddha called dukkha, suffering. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies, but the special brand that comes from a mind that won't stop auditing your life choices. You're about to discover why your brain, the same one that successfully manages a career, perhaps raised children, and keeps track of 17 different passwords, completely loses its ability to shut down at bedtime. Spoiler alert, those ancient Buddhist teachers figured this out, and they didn't even have property taxes to worry about. Let's start with what's happening right now. You're lying there, and your mind is helpfully reminding you about that email you forgot to send, your cholesterol numbers from your last checkup, whether you should sell those stocks, if your adult children are making good decisions, and oh yes, the fact that you're not sleeping. This, my horizontal friend, is what Buddhists call the monkey mind. Though honestly, that's unfair to monkeys. At least they don't lie awake wondering if they saved enough bananas for retirement. The Buddha himself was about your age, mid-30s, when he decided to figure out why humans suffer. He'd been living the good life. Wealthy family, nice house, good health plan, servants to fan you counts as healthcare, right? But he looked around and thought, why am I still not satisfied? Why is my mind never quiet? Sound familiar? You've got the house, with 12 years left on the mortgage, the career, with its own special kind of stress, maybe grown kids who still need things, and yet here you are, wide awake, wondering why inner peace is harder to find than a matching sock. Here's the first thing those Buddhist teachers discovered. Your thoughts aren't reality. I know. That thought about your upcoming medical procedure feels pretty real. So does the one about your aging parents. But these are mental events, not prophecies carved in stone. Right now, your mind is doing what minds do best, creating detailed disaster scenarios with the production value of a Hollywood blockbuster. Coming this fall, what if your retirement savings aren't enough? Starring your anxiety and featuring special guest appearances by every financial mistake you've made. Let's talk about the Four Noble Truths, which are basically the ancient equivalent of, here's why you can't sleep and what to do about it, without having to buy another self-help book. First noble. Truth. Life includes suffering, or as you're currently experiencing it. Why am I awake thinking about whether I should have bought long-term care insurance? You see, the Buddha noticed that even when life is good, and let's be honest, if you're in bed instead of a hospital, and you're worried about your retirement savings instead of your next meal, life is pretty good, we still find ways to be dissatisfied. It's like we're hardwired to find problems, even if we have to invent them. Second noble truth: suffering comes from attachment and craving. In your case, that's the attachment to the idea that you should have your life completely figured out by now. Newsflash: nobody does. Not even that friend from college who posts perfect vacation photos on Facebook. Your mind right now is attached to the idea that you should be asleep, which ironically is keeping you awake. It's like trying not to think about your blood pressure. Suddenly, that's all you can think about. Third noble truth: there's a way out of this suffering. And no, it doesn't involve meditation apps that cost $14.99 a month, though the Buddha would have probably had thoughts about subscription-based enlightenment. The way out isn't through more thinking. You've been thinking for several decades now, and where has it gotten you? Here, in bed, thinking about thinking. It's time for a different approach. Fourth noble truth: there's a path to freedom, the noble eightfold path. Don't worry, this isn't like that diet plan you tried last January. This actually works, and you don't have to give up wine. Let's focus on what's relevant right now. Right mindfulness. This means being aware of what's actually happening, not what your mind says is happening. What's actually happening? You're lying in bed, you're breathing, you're physically safe. That's it. What's your mind saying is happening? That tomorrow's ruined, your health is declining, your kids are making poor choices, you're behind on everything, and somehow this is all connected to that decision you made. Here's something interesting. The Buddha taught that most of our suffering comes from living in the past or future, never the present. And let's be honest, you've got a lot more past to worry about and seemingly less future to plan for. It's the perfect recipe for middle-of-the-night anxiety. One moment you're regretting not buying Apple stock in 2001. The next, you're worried about healthcare costs in the future. Meanwhile, the present moment, the only one you can actually do anything about, is sitting here like that gym membership you keep paying for, but never use. The Buddhist concept of anatta, or non-self, might sound like something your yoga instructor talks about, but it's actually quite practical. That voice in your head that's currently listing every way you've fallen short of your life goals. That's not the real you. It's more like a talk radio station that somehow got stuck on the everything you're doing wrong channel. Think about it. You're observing these thoughts, which means you can't be the thoughts themselves. You're the awareness behind them. It's like realizing you're not the movie on the screen, you're the one watching it. And this particular movie, Midnight Anxiety, the unnecessary sequel, isn't even that good. Let's talk about impermanence, which sounds depressing but is actually liberating. Everything changes, including this sleepless state you're in. Remember when you were 30 and could survive on 4 hours of sleep? That changed. Remember when your biggest financial worry was making rent? That changed too. The good news is, your current state of wide-awake worry will also change. The bad news is, you'll probably have to go through this a few more times before you really get it. Most of the time, your mind is like a browser with 47 tabs open. Mortgage calculator, WebMD, never a good idea after midnight. Your kids' college tuition page, retirement planning. That article about foods that fight inflammation, and several others you don't even remember opening. The Buddhist practice isn't about closing all these tabs through force. It's about realizing you don't have to click on every pop-up thought that appears. Here's what meditation really is. It's not sitting cross-legged chanting Om, unless that's your thing. It's simply watching your thoughts without getting sucked into their drama. Right now, you can practice this in bed. Notice that thought about tomorrow's meeting. You don't have to follow it down the rabbit hole of what if I say something stupid, leading to what if I get fired, leading to what if I can't pay the mortgage, leading to what if I end up living in my car. Just notice. There's a thought about tomorrow's meeting. Let it pass. Another one will be along shortly. They're more reliable than your local bus service. The Buddha talked about the middle way, avoiding extremes. At your age, you know about extremes. Extreme dieting. Remember that cabbage soup phase? Extreme exercise. Hello, weekend warrior injuries. Extreme worry, your current specialty. The middle way here is accepting that you're awake without panicking about being awake. It's like accepting that your metabolism isn't what it used to be. Fighting it only makes you miserable. Let's address something specific to your stage of life. The sandwich generation anxiety. You're worried about your aging parents and your adult children. You're planning for retirement while still paying off debts. You're dealing with your own health issues while managing everyone else's needs. The Buddha would point out that you're suffering not from these responsibilities, but from the stories you're telling yourself about them. I should have saved more. I should be healthier. I should have made better choices. Should. It's like your mind is a really judgmental life coach who works the night shift. Here's a Buddhist insight that's particularly relevant. The concept of right effort. This doesn't mean trying harder. You've been trying hard your whole life. It means trying differently. Right effort in this moment means not trying to force sleep. It means not battling your thoughts. It means lying here with a kind of radical acceptance. I'm awake. Millions of people my age are also awake right now, probably thinking similar thoughts. This is part of the human experience. You know what's funny? The Buddha achieved enlightenment by literally sitting still and doing nothing. After years of trying everything else, extreme fasting, intense meditation, studying with various teachers, he finally just sat down under a tree and stopped trying so hard. There's a lesson there for those of us who've spent decades believing that the answer to every problem is to work harder, think more, plan better. Sometimes the answer is to do less, not more. Your thoughts are like those spam calls you keep getting about your car's extended warranty. They're persistent, they seem urgent, but they're not actually important. You don't have to answer every one. Let's talk about compassion. Starting with self-compassion. You're lying here being incredibly hard on yourself for what? Being human? Having concerns? Caring about your family's well-being? These aren't character flaws. They're signs you're a responsible adult. The Buddha taught that suffering is universal. That person you think has it all figured out? They're probably awake at 2 a.m. wondering if they chose the right Medicare plan too. Here's something practical. The 5 hindrances to meditation, or in your case, sleep. 1. Desire, wanting things to be different. 2. Aversion, not wanting what's happening. 3. Sloth, torpor, that heaviness that isn't quite sleep. 4. Restlessness, your current state. 5. Doubt, wondering if anything will ever help. Recognize any of these. Of course you do. You're experiencing at least 3 right now. The Buddhist approach isn't to fight these hindrances, but to acknowledge them. Hello, restlessness. I see you're here again. Pull up a chair, but you don't get to drive. Think about how much energy you're spending right now fighting reality. You're awake. That's the reality. All the mental energy you're using to argue with this fact could power a small city. What if, and stay with me here, you just accepted being awake, not forever, just for this moment? What if instead of seeing this as wasted time, you saw it as found time? Time to practice being present, to observe your mind's habits, to maybe even find some peace. I know what you're thinking. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who has to function tomorrow on no sleep. Fair point. But here's the thing. You will function tomorrow. You functioned on little sleep before. Remember when your kids were babies? Remember pulling all-nighters in college? You're tougher than you think. The Buddha talked about right view, seeing things as they really are. Right now, your mind is adding a lot of extra suffering to the simple fact of being awake. It's like putting hot sauce on food that's already spicy, unnecessary and painful. Here's what's really happening. You're a person of a certain age, with real responsibilities and concerns, having trouble sleeping. That's it. You're not failing at life. You're not uniquely anxious. You're just human. And here's the beautiful part. According to Buddhist teaching, this very moment, yes, this frustrating, sleepless moment, contains everything you need for peace. Not the peace of unconsciousness, though that would be nice, but the peace of accepting what is. Your mind will keep generating thoughts. That's what minds do. They're like that relative who always has opinions about everything. You can't stop them from talking, but you don't have to believe everything they say. As you lie there, possibly adjusting your pillow for the 15th time, not that anyone's counting, except your brain, which is keeping detailed records of everything. Let's talk about what Buddhist teachers call suffering upon suffering. You know this one. It's when you're upset about being upset, anxious about being anxious, worried that you're worrying too much. It's like compound interest, but for misery. Right now, you're probably suffering about your suffering. Why can't I sleep? Becomes, why can't I sleep? And why can't I stop thinking about why I can't sleep? It's the mental equivalent of those prescription side effects that are worse than the original problem. The Buddha would point out, if he were lying in your memory foam bed instead of sitting under a Bodhi tree, that this second layer of suffering is entirely optional. Like extended warranties or premium cable packages, you don't actually need it. Let's talk about attachment. No, not your attachment to your morning coffee, though that's real, but your attachment to how you think things should be. You should be asleep. Your kids should call more often. Your retirement account should be bigger. Your back shouldn't hurt when you garden. Should. It's like your mind is running a constant audit of reality and finding it lacking. But here's what those Buddhist monks figured out while you were busy building a career and raising a family. Attachment to how things should be causes more suffering than the things themselves. Your sleeplessness isn't the real problem. The problem is your conviction that you absolutely must be asleep right now. It's like insisting it shouldn't rain during your vacation. You can insist all you want, but the rain doesn't care about your preferences. Speaking of preferences, let's address something specific to your stage of life, the growing awareness of impermanence. You've lived long enough to see that nothing stays the same. Parents age, Children grow up and move away. Career pinnacles become distant memories. That metabolism you had at 25, gone with your collection of cassette tapes. The Buddha talked extensively about impermanence, but let's be honest, it hits different when you actually start experiencing it. When you realize you have more years behind you than ahead. When you notice you're starting to sound like your parents. When you can actually remember where you were when. For multiple historical events. This awareness of impermanence is exactly why you're lying awake calculating how many good years you have left. Your mind is trying to solve the unsolvable puzzle of mortality with the same approach you use for spreadsheets and tax returns. But here's what Buddhism teaches. Impermanence isn't the enemy. Resisting impermanence is. You're suffering not because things change, but because you're fighting against the fact that things change. Think about it. If nothing ever changed, you'd still be in that dead-end job from your 20s. Your kids would never have learned to walk. You'd never have grown wiser, more compassionate, more skilled at crossword puzzles or whatever hobby you've picked up to keep your mind sharp. Right now, your insomnia feels permanent. This is my life now, your mind declares dramatically. I'm someone who doesn't sleep, but even this will change. Everything does. Let's explore the Buddhist concept of right effort as it applies to someone who's already spent decades making effort. You've worked hard, raised families, built careers, saved for retirement, well, tried to. Now you're lying in bed making an effort to sleep, which is about as effective as making an effort to be spontaneous. Right effort isn't about trying harder. At your age, you've probably figured out that not everything can be solved by applying more force. Right effort is about wisdom, knowing when to act and when to let go. Right now, the wise effort might be to stop trying to force sleep and instead just rest. Your body is horizontal. Your muscles are relaxing, except for that spot in your shoulder that's been tense since 1994. That's already accomplishing something. Let's talk about meditation, but not the kind where you need to sit in lotus position. Your knees have opinions about that. This is bed meditation, perfect for people who remember when gas was under $1 and phones were attached to walls. Focus on your breath, not to change it, just to notice it, in and out. You've been breathing successfully for several decades now without thinking about it. You're actually quite good at it. When thoughts arise, I need to call about that insurance claim. Did I take my medication? Why did I say that stupid thing at dinner? Just notice them. You don't have to do anything with them. They're like those people who still send chain emails. You can acknowledge their existence without engaging. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from the stories we tell ourselves. And boy, do you have stories. The story of who you should be by now. The story of what you should have accomplished. The story of how your body should feel, how your family should behave, how your retirement should look. These stories are keeping you awake. They're like Netflix series that automatically play the next episode. One anxious thought leads to another, and suddenly you're 6 seasons deep into Anxiety, the Complete Collection. Here's a radical idea. What if you're exactly where you're supposed to be? What if all those mistakes were actually the curriculum of your life? What if your current challenges, including this sleeplessness, are not obstacles, but teachers? I know. Philosophical acceptance feels about as achievable as your high school weight. But stay with me. The Buddha discovered that peace comes not from changing your circumstances, but from changing your relationship to your circumstances. You can't control whether you sleep tonight, but you can control whether you add suffering to your sleeplessness. Let's be practical about something. Your generation has been sold the idea that you can control everything through hard work and proper planning. Save enough money, exercise enough, eat the right foods, take the right supplements, and you'll age gracefully into a perfectly managed retirement. Then reality shows up with hot flashes, market crashes, adult children moving back home, and parents who need care. Suddenly, that illusion of control starts looking as outdated as your VHS collection. Buddhism offers something different: the recognition that control was always an illusion. Peace comes from accepting what you can't control while taking responsibility for what you can. You can't control your racing thoughts, but you can control whether you believe them. You can't control whether you fall asleep, but you can control whether you panic about it. Here's something the Buddha understood that's particularly relevant to your demographic. Wisdom comes from experience, not from thinking about experience. You've accumulated decades of experience. You've lived through recessions, raised children, or chose not to, changed careers, lost loved ones, celebrated victories, survived failures. That's wisdom, real wisdom, not the kind that comes from self-help books or meditation apps, but the kind that comes from actually living. So why are you lying here at midnight thinking you need to figure something out? You've already figured out how to survive everything life has thrown at you so far. You'll figure this out too. The Buddhist concept of Sangha, community, is especially important at your age. You're not alone in this sleepless night. Millions of people your age are awake right now, worrying about similar things. There's something comforting in that, isn't there? We're all in this together. This strange experience of being human, of aging, of lying awake wondering if we've done enough, saved enough, loved enough. The Buddha taught that suffering is universal, but so is the path out of suffering. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about being more fully who you already are, with all your accumulated wisdom, your battle scars, your laugh lines, and yes, even your insomnia. Let's talk about loving kindness meditation, adapted for someone whose idea of meditation might be staring at their coffee maker, waiting for it to finish brewing. Start with yourself. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. May I get some damn sleep. The Buddha didn't say that last part, but he would understand. Now extend it to others. May all the other people my age lying awake right now be happy. May they be peaceful. May they stop Googling their symptoms. This practice isn't about feeling warm and fuzzy. It's about recognizing our shared humanity. That person you're worried about? They're probably worried about you too. Those adult children you're concerned about? They're likely lying awake worrying about you. It's worry all the way down, but also love, also care, also connection. The Buddha taught that we suffer because we feel separate. Separate from others, separate from life, separate from the present moment. But lying here in the dark, breathing the same air as billions of others, worried about the same human concerns, you're not separate at all. You're racing thoughts about mortgage payments, medication side effects, and whether your kids are making good choices. These aren't signs that you're failing at life. They're signs that you're fully participating in it. Here's what Buddhism offers that's different from all those articles about sleep hygiene and stress management. The recognition that sometimes being awake at night is just part of the human experience. It's not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be had. Maybe tonight isn't about sleeping. Maybe it's about practicing being gentle with yourself, about observing your mind without judgment, about recognizing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, even if that's wide awake. The Buddha found enlightenment not by escaping life's difficulties, but by facing them with compassion and wisdom. You don't need to find enlightenment tonight, though if you do, please share the secret. You just need to find a little peace with where you are. And where are you? You're in bed, relatively healthy, with a roof over your head and people to worry about. That's not so bad, is it? Your problems are real, but so are your blessings. Your mind will keep generating thoughts about your health, your finances, your family, your future. That's what minds do. Especially minds that have been solving problems and managing responsibilities for decades. But you don't have to chase every thought. You don't have to solve every problem tonight. You can just lie here, breathing, being human, sharing this moment with countless others who are also awake, also worried, also wondering. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's even a kind of meditation. Maybe that's exactly what the Buddha was talking about, finding peace not by escaping life, but by accepting it, sleepless nights and all. So breathe. Notice your thoughts without believing all of them. Be gentle with yourself. You've made it this far through everything life has thrown at you. You'll make it through this night too. And if you do eventually fall asleep, great. If not, you'll have practiced something even more valuable. Being at peace with what is. That's a skill worth developing, whether you're 35 or 85, whether it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., whether you're in bed or sitting under a Bodhi tree. The Buddha would approve, and he'd probably remind you that tomorrow's worries will still be there tomorrow. You don't need to solve them all tonight. Now, let your mind rest, even if your body won't sleep. You've earned it after all these years of thinking, planning, worrying, and caring. Tonight, you can just be. That's the first noble truth of insomnia. This is happening. The second, you're attaching to the idea it shouldn't be. The third, you can let go of that attachment. The fourth, here's how. By practicing exactly what you're doing right now, being aware, being present, being human. Welcome to Buddhism for the sleep deprived. Class is in session and you're already passing. So, you've been lying here for what feels like several lifetimes, and now your mind has decided to throw a party. Unfortunately, it's the kind of party where all the guests are your anxieties, and they're really getting comfortable. Welcome to the next chapter of your nightly mental marathon, where we explore why Buddhist monks spent centuries figuring out the human mind, instead of, inventing coffee or comfortable sandals. You've just shifted position again. Not that anyone's counting, except your brain, which is keeping detailed statistics on everything, including how many times you've checked if your alarm is set, and how many times you've calculated the remaining hours until morning. This, my friend, is what the Buddha called papanka, the mental proliferation that turns a simple thought into an entire Netflix series. Except this series is called Every Possible Thing That Could Go Wrong, the complete collection, and you're binge watching it against your will. Let's talk about what's really happening in that overactive mind of yours. See, 2,500 years ago, while most people were worried about things like will it rain and are those berries poisonous, logically, this wealthy prince named Siddhartha was lying awake wondering, why can't I just chill? He had everything: palace, servants, a dad who literally tried to hide all suffering from him. Imagine having a helicopter parent who owns actual helicopters. But there he was, probably lying awake just like you, thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. So he did what any reasonable person would do. Abandoned his cushy lifestyle to sit under a tree and figure out why humans can't stop overthinking. After several years of this, talk about commitment issues with sleep, he discovered something that would really annoy modern self-help gurus. The problem isn't your thoughts. The problem is that you think your thoughts are you. Right now, for instance, that voice in your head that's listing everything wrong with your life. That's not you. That's just mental radio static. You're the one hearing it. Big difference. The Buddha called this insight anatta, or non-self, which sounds like something your yoga teacher might say while you're trying not to fall over in tree pose. But here's what it actually means. That running commentary in your head, the one currently doing a performance review of your entire life, isn't the real you any more than a podcast is your actual friend talking to you. Let's get practical about this. You're lying here, and your mind is helpfully providing commentary, like a sports announcer who hates the home team, and there goes another minute of potential sleep. That's going to cost them tomorrow. Remember when they used to be able to function on 4 hours? Those days are gone, folks. This is what Buddhists call the monkey mind. Although honestly, that's unfair to monkeys. At least they sleep at night and don't lie awake, wondering if they saved enough bananas for retirement. Your particular monkey mind has evolved. It's got a mortgage, elderly parents to worry about, and it knows exactly how much sleep you need to function tomorrow, which is definitely more than you're getting. This is not your grandfather's monkey mind. This is monkey mind 2.0, with advanced anxiety features and real-time catastrophe simulation. The Buddha identified what he called the 5 hindrances to peace of mind. Let's see how many you're experiencing right now. First, there's sensual desire, not just the fun kind, but any wanting things to be different, like wanting to be asleep right now, or wanting your back to stop making that weird clicking sound, or wanting your kids to make better life choices. Second is ill will or aversion. That's the part of you that's angry at being awake, frustrated with your racing thoughts, or resentful that other people, probably, are sleeping peacefully while you're here getting a masterclass in Buddhist psychology. Third is sloth and torpor. That heavy, dull feeling that's not quite sleep, but makes thinking feel like wading through peanut butter. You know this one. It's why you've been staring at the ceiling without actually seeing it. Fourth is restlessness and worry. Oh, hello there. This is your current specialty. Your mind is like a squirrel that's discovered espresso, bouncing from one concern to another. Retirement funds, health issues, that weird sound your car is making, whether you remembered to move the laundry to the dryer. Fifth is doubt, not just regular doubt, but the special kind that makes you question everything. Did I make the right choices? Am I doing enough? Will anything I'm worrying about actually matter? Is this meditation stuff even real? Or am I just lying here listening to my own thoughts like some kind of consciousness podcast? Congratulations, You're experiencing all 5 hindrances simultaneously. The Buddha would be impressed. Or concerned. Probably both. But here's the thing the Buddha figured out. These hindrances aren't personal failures. They're not signs that you're bad at being human. They're just what minds do. It's like being upset that water is wet or that teenagers are confusing. This is just the nature of consciousness when left unsupervised. The Buddha's solution wasn't to fight these hindrances. That would be like trying to arm wrestle your own shadow. Instead, he suggested something radical. Just notice them. Don't judge them. Don't try to fix them. Just notice. Oh, there's anxiety. Hello, anxiety. I see you've brought your friends regret and future tripping. Make yourselves at home, I guess. This is what he called mindfulness, which has now been packaged and sold as everything from a phone app to a corporate wellness program. But originally, it just meant paying attention to what's actually happening instead of what your mind says is happening. Right now, what's actually happening? You're lying in bed, you're breathing, you're physically safe. That's it. Everything else, the mortgage worries, the health concerns, the replay of that awkward conversation from 1987, that's just your mind's late-night improv show. Speaking of which, let's talk about what the Buddha called dependent origination, which sounds like something you'd need a philosophy degree to understand, but it's actually pretty simple. Everything depends on everything else. Your current inability to sleep depends on your thoughts, which depend on your worries, which depend on your past experiences, which depend on that time in 3rd grade when someone laughed at your presentation, which somehow connects to your current fear of public speaking, which relates to tomorrow's meeting, which is why you can't sleep. See? It's all connected, like the world's most anxious connect-the-dots puzzle. The Buddha noticed that we create these elaborate chains of cause and effect in our minds, then treat them like they're as real as gravity. But they're not. They're just stories we tell ourselves, like bedtime stories, except these ones keep us awake and have really terrible endings. Take your current favorite story. I can't sleep. Therefore tomorrow will be terrible. Therefore I'll mess up at work. Therefore I'll lose my job. Therefore I'll end up living under a bridge. This is what Buddhists call catastrophizing, though they probably had a fancier Sanskrit term for it. The Buddha's insight was that you can break these chains at any point. You don't have to follow the thought train all the way to its final destination of doom. You can just notice, oh, there goes the catastrophe train again. Choo-choo, have fun without me. This is where the Buddha's teaching on impermanence comes in handy. Everything changes, including your current state of wide-eyed worry. The thoughts you're having right now, temporary. The feeling that you'll never sleep again, temporary. That embarrassing thing you said at last year's holiday party. Well, the embarrassment is temporary, even if your relatives' memories are unfortunately permanent. The Buddha pointed out that we suffer because we treat temporary things as permanent. We think our current problems will last forever. Our current feelings are our permanent personality, and our current thoughts are eternal truths. But they're not. They're more like weather, constantly changing, occasionally dramatic, and completely beyond our control. Speaking of lack of control, let's address what's really keeping you awake, the illusion that if you think about something hard enough, you can control it. This is like believing that if you worry about rain enough, you can change the weather. Your retirement account doesn't grow because you anxiety calculate it at night. Your adult children don't make better choices because you lie awake reviewing their options. The Buddha called this grasping, the desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable. It's exhausting, like trying to hold water in your fist or teach a cat to file taxes. But here's the revolutionary idea. What if you just didn't? What if you acknowledged that lying here, running worst-case scenarios, isn't actually productive? What if worrying about your health at night doesn't count as preventive medicine? This is what the Buddha meant by letting go, not giving up, not becoming irresponsible, just recognizing that your mental hamster wheel isn't actually powering anything except your anxiety. Now you might be thinking, easy for Buddha to say. He didn't have a mortgage, elderly parents, or kids who text, "We need to talk," at 11 p.m. Fair point. But he did have the same human brain you have, with all its default settings for worry, regret, and existential crises. The Buddha discovered that the mind has certain patterns, like software bugs that have been running since the Stone Age. These patterns made sense when we needed to remember which caves had bears and which berries were poisonous. But now, they just make us lie awake, wondering if we chose the right health insurance plan. One of these patterns is what Buddhists call dukkha, often translated as suffering, but really meaning the basic unsatisfactoriness of existence. It's that feeling that something's always slightly off, like wearing shoes that are half a size too small, or having a popcorn kernel stuck in your teeth. Forever. Right now, your dukkha might be manifesting as, "I should be asleep," or "I should have my life more figured out by now," or "I shouldn't still be making mistakes at my age." Your mind is shoulding all over you. The Buddha's first noble truth is simply acknowledging that this dissatisfaction exists. Not to be pessimistic, but to stop being surprised by it. Life includes difficulty. Sleep includes sleeplessness. Parenting includes worry. Aging includes new, mysterious body sounds. This isn't failure. It's the full human experience package. The second noble truth identifies the cause: craving and attachment. You're attached to the idea of perfect sleep, perfect health, perfect decisions. You crave certainty in an uncertain world. You want guarantees in a life that offers none, except that things will change and your body will continue making weird noises. But here's where it gets interesting. The third noble truth says this suffering can end. Not by achieving perfect sleep or figuring out everything, but by changing your relationship to imperfection. It's like finally accepting that your hair has its own agenda and working with it instead of against it. The fourth noble truth is the path out, the famous eightfold path. Don't worry, we're not going to make you memorize all 8 right now. Your brain is busy enough catastrophizing about tomorrow. But one relevant part is right understanding, seeing things as they actually are, not as your anxiety paints them. Right understanding in this moment means recognizing you're awake, that's uncomfortable but not dangerous. Millions of people throughout history have survived sleepless nights, and your brain's disaster predictions have a terrible accuracy rate. The Buddha talked about middle way, the path between extremes. Right now, you're bouncing between the extreme of forcing sleep and the extreme of panicking about not sleeping. The middle way might be resting in wakefulness, letting your body relax even if your mind won't, trusting that rest has value even without unconsciousness. This is radical for those of us raised on the try harder philosophy. We've been taught that every problem can be solved with more effort, more thinking. more control. The Buddha suggests that some problems dissolve when we stop treating them as problems. Imagine approaching your thoughts like clouds passing in the sky. You don't have to chase them, fight them, or figure them out. Just let them drift by. There goes the money worry cloud. Oh look, the health anxiety cumulus. Ah, the classic, did I lock the door formation. This is meditation, by the way, not sitting cross-legged chanting Om, but simply observing your mind without getting pulled into its drama. You're already doing it. You just didn't know it counted. The Buddha emphasized that meditation isn't about achieving special states or having mystical experiences. It's about seeing clearly what's already happening. Right now, what's happening is thoughts arising, body sensations, breathing, continuing whether you manage it or not. One of Buddha's key insights was recognizing patterns of thought that create suffering. He called these sanskaras, mental formations or habits. Your mind has grooves worn into it by years of thinking the same thoughts, like a river carving a canyon. The I'm not doing enough canyon. The what if something goes wrong gorge. The why did I say that stupid thing ravine. These patterns feel permanent, but they're not. They're just habits, and habits can change. Even the habit of overthinking about whether your habits can change. The Buddha wasn't just philosophizing for fun. He was trying to solve the same problem you're having right now. Why does the human mind insist on making itself miserable? It's like having a roommate who constantly rearranges your furniture while you're trying to sleep, then criticizes the layout. Let's talk about what the Buddha called the 3 characteristics of existence. Don't worry, this isn't going to be a philosophy lecture. Think of it more as understanding the operating system your mind runs on. First characteristic, impermanence, anicca. Everything changes. Your thoughts right now, they'll be different in 5 minutes. That worry about your retirement? It'll shift, evolve, maybe get replaced by a worry about your knee. Even your inability to sleep is impermanent, though it might not feel that way as you lie here counting imaginary sheep, who are probably also anxious about their future financial security. Second characteristic, suffering or dissatisfaction, dukkha. We've covered this one. It's the sense that something's always a bit off, like when your socks are slightly damp, or when someone says, "We need to talk," and you have to wait 3 hours to find out they just want to discuss dinner plans. Third characteristic, non-self, anatta. This is the big one. There's no fixed, permanent you having these thoughts. You're more like a river, constantly flowing, changing, never the same from one moment to the next. The you that started listening, this isn't the same you listening now. Some of your cells have already died and been replaced. You're literally not the same person you were a paragraph ago. This might sound scary, but it's actually liberating. If there's no fixed self, then there's no fixed person who can't sleep, or person who always worries. These are just temporary weather patterns in consciousness. The Buddha discovered this while sitting under what's now called the Bodhi tree. Though let's be honest, if someone today sat under a tree for 49 days straight, we'd probably call emergency services. Different times. But what he realized is relevant right now, in your bed, in your sleeplessness. Your suffering comes not from being awake, but from your relationship to being awake. It's not the insomnia that's torturing you. It's your thoughts about the insomnia. This is what Buddhists call the second arrow. The first arrow is the actual circumstance. You can't sleep. That's unpleasant but manageable. The second arrow is everything your mind adds. This is terrible. I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. Something must be wrong with me. I'll never sleep again. You're essentially shooting yourself repeatedly with an entire quiver of second arrows. The Buddha's suggestion? Stop shooting yourself. Radical, I know. Let's explore what he called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. These are like GPS coordinates for navigating your current mental traffic jam. First foundation, mindfulness of body. Notice your physical sensations right now, not to judge them or change them, just to notice. The weight of your body on the mattress, the temperature of your skin, that spot in your lower back that's been annoying, the rhythm of your breathing that continues whether you micromanage it or not. Your body is actually pretty good at existing without your conscious supervision. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your cells do their cellular things. Maybe your mind could learn from your body's example. Second foundation, mindfulness of feelings. In Buddhism, feelings doesn't mean emotions like, I'm sad because my kid never calls. It means the basic flavor of experience, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Being awake when you want to sleep, unpleasant. The softness of your pillow, pleasant. The sound of a car passing outside, probably neutral unless you've decided to make it part of your "why can't the world be quiet" complaint. Third foundation, mindfulness of mind. This is observing your mental state like a scientist observing weather patterns. Is your mind tight or spacious? Agitated or calm? Racing or sluggish? You're not trying to change the weather, just noting. Currently experiencing mental thunderstorms with a chance of existential dread. Fourth foundation, mindfulness of mental objects. These are the specific thoughts, worries, memories that populate your mind. Instead of getting lost in their content, you observe them as phenomena. There's the thought about tomorrow's meeting. There's the memory of that embarrassing thing from high school. There's the fantasy about winning the lottery and solving all problems forever. The Buddha discovered that when you observe thoughts this way, they lose their power. They're like scary movies, terrifying when you're immersed in them, but much less so when you remember you're just watching a screen. Now, let's address something specific to your life stage, the burden of accumulated responsibilities. The Buddha talked about bhara, which means burden. At your age, you're probably carrying multiple bharas, aging parents, adult children who still need guidance, your own health concerns, financial planning, career pressures, maintaining relationships, trying to remember passwords for 20 different accounts. The Buddha's insight wasn't drop all responsibilities and become a monk, though that probably sounds tempting right now. It was about discerning which burdens are yours to carry and which are optional suffering you've picked up along the way. That guilt about not calling your mum enough? Optional burden. The responsibility to care for her? Actual burden. The worry that your adult child might make wrong choices? Optional burden. The love that wants them to be happy? Actual burden. See the difference? You can care without carrying the whole world on your shoulders while trying to sleep. The Buddha talked about right effort, which doesn't mean trying harder. You've been trying hard your whole life. Right effort means wisdom in applying energy. Sometimes the wisest effort is no effort. Like right now, the effort to force sleep is keeping you awake. The effort to stop thinking is creating more thoughts. The effort to relax is creating tension. What if you apply the Buddhist principle of non-doing? Not laziness, but the recognition that some things happen better without interference, like falling asleep, or digesting food, or growing wisdom. This connects to what the Buddha called attachment to views. We all have views about how things should be. You should be asleep by now. Your life should be more settled at this age. Your children should make certain choices. Your body shouldn't make those sounds. These shoulds are like wearing too tight shoes and then wondering why walking hurts. The Buddha suggested loosening your grip on how things should be, which creates space for accepting how things are. This doesn't mean resignation. It means seeing clearly. Right now, you are awake. That's the reality. Everything else is commentary added by your mind's inner film critic, who apparently specializes in disaster movies. Let's talk about the Buddha's teaching on karma. No, not the cosmic point system where you get rewarded for helping old ladies cross streets. Karma simply means action and consequence. The karma of fighting with reality is exhaustion. The karma of worrying is more worry. The karma of judging yourself for being awake is, well, you're experiencing it right now. But here's the good news. Karma also means you can create different consequences through different actions. The karma of accepting this moment is peace. The karma of observing thoughts without believing them is freedom. The karma of being kind to yourself is, well, try it and see. The Buddha emphasized that meditation isn't just about sitting cross-legged. It's about bringing awareness to whatever's happening. Right now, you're doing lying in bed meditation or insomnia meditation. Congratulations, you're practically a Zen master. In fact, some of the deepest insights in Buddhist history happened during ordinary activities. The Buddha's enlightenment came while sitting. Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Zen, got enlightened while hearing someone recite scripture. Another monk achieved enlightenment while sweeping. Maybe tonight's your night for enlightenment while failing to sleep. The Buddha talked about the middle way between extremes. Right now, you might be swinging between the extremes of fighting wakefulness and despairing about it. The middle way might be, I'm awake. That's okay. My body is resting even if my mind isn't. This too shall pass. This is revolutionary for those of us trained in the, if at first you don't succeed, try harder until you break something, school of life. The middle way suggests that sometimes the solution is to stop treating something as a problem. Let's explore what Buddhists call emptiness, shunyata. Don't worry, this isn't nihilistic nothing matters philosophy. It means things don't exist in the solid, permanent way we think they do. Your insomnia isn't a solid thing. It's a combination of physical sensations, thoughts, emotions, and circumstances, all of which are changing moment by moment. Right now, insomnia might include physical alertness, mental activity, emotional frustration, thoughts about tomorrow, memories of other sleepless nights, and cultural conditioning about the importance of 8 hours. Remove any element and the experience changes. It's not a solid thing. It's a temporary constellation of conditions. Understanding emptiness means recognizing that your current experience is more fluid than it appears. You're not an insomniac. You're a person experiencing wakefulness right now. Big difference. The Buddha taught about dependent origination. Everything arises in dependence on causes and conditions. Your wakefulness right now depends on numerous factors. That coffee you had after lunch, tomorrow's presentation, your mother's health concerns, the phase of the moon, what you ate for dinner, that article about sleep you read last week. Change any condition and the experience changes. This is hopeful. It means nothing is fixed or permanent, including your current state. But here's the practical part. While you can't control all conditions, you can influence some. The Buddha called this skillful means, working wisely with what's available. Right now, you can't control your racing thoughts, but you can control whether you believe them. You can't force sleep, but you can allow rest. The Buddha noticed that humans have what he called proliferation, papanka, the tendency to elaborate simple experiences into complex problems. A simple sensation of wakefulness becomes, I have insomnia, becomes, I'll never sleep properly, becomes my health will deteriorate, becomes I'll die alone and tired. This is your mind's hobby, turning molehills into mountain ranges. The Buddha's suggestion? Notice when proliferation starts and gently decline to participate. Thanks, mind, but I don't need a 10-part series on why I can't sleep. The pilot episode was enough. Let's talk about the Buddhist concept of refuge. Traditionally, Buddhists take refuge in the Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teachings, and Sangha, the community. But right now, you can take refuge in simpler things. Your breath, the stability of your bed, the fact that millions of people throughout history have survived sleepless nights. You're not alone in this. Right now, countless people your age are awake, thinking similar thoughts, wrestling with similar worries. There's a strange comfort in this universal struggle. You're part of an unofficial Sangha of the sleepless. The Buddha talked about loving kindness, metta, starting with yourself. This is radical for those of us trained to be our own harshest critics. Try this. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a good friend who couldn't sleep. You probably wouldn't say, "What's wrong with you? Just sleep already." You'd more likely say, "It's okay. This happens sometimes. You'll get through this." Why not offer yourself the same kindness? The Buddha's teaching on right speech applies to internal dialogue too. How you talk to yourself matters. I'm terrible at sleeping creates a different reality than sleep is challenging tonight. I'll be destroyed tomorrow differs from tomorrow might be tiring, but I'll manage. Your mind is like an echo chamber. Speak kindly into it, and kindness reverberates. Speak harshly, and, well, you're experiencing the results right now. The Buddha understood that transformation doesn't come through force, but through understanding. You don't end overthinking by thinking harder about not thinking. You end it by understanding the nature of thought itself. Thoughts are like guests in the hotel of your mind. They check in, stay for a while, then check out. Your job isn't to be the thought police, interrogating every guest. Your job is just to be aware. Oh, anxiety's in room 204 again. Regrets hanging out in the lobby. Future worry just ordered room service. Here's a profound Buddhist insight. Awareness itself is already free. The part of you that's aware of anxiety isn't anxious. The part aware of confusion isn't confused. Right now, there's a part of you that's simply aware of being awake, and that awareness is perfectly peaceful. The Buddha called this the unborn, uncreated, unformed. It's the awareness that exists before thought, during thought, and after thought. It's what's aware right now, listening to these words, noticing your breath, feeling your body. This awareness doesn't need sleep. It doesn't need anything. It's already complete. The exhausted one, the worried one, the one who needs to sleep. These are all characters appearing in awareness, not awareness itself. Now this might sound abstract when you're lying in bed calculating how many coffee cups you'll need tomorrow, but it's immediately practical. You can rest in awareness even when thoughts won't rest. You can be peace even when your mind isn't peaceful. The Buddha's final teaching was, be a light unto yourself. He wasn't saying figure it out alone. He was pointing to the light of awareness that's already within you, illuminating your experience right now. This light doesn't flicker when thoughts arise. It doesn't dim with worry. It doesn't need sleep to shine. So here you are, lying in bed, a perfect laboratory for Buddha's ancient experiments in consciousness. Every moment of wakefulness is an opportunity to observe the mind's patterns. Every thought is a chance to practice non-attachment. Every breath is an invitation to presence. You're not failing at sleep. You're succeeding at awareness. You're not having a problem. You're having an experience. And experiences, as the Buddha pointed out 2,500 years ago, are impermanent. Even this one. The great Buddhist teacher, Shunryu Suzuki, said, the most important point is to accept yourself and stand on your 2 feet. Right now, you're lying on your back, but the principle applies. Accept this moment. Accept your wakefulness. Accept your busy mind. Accept that acceptance is really hard at 3 a.m. This is the path. Not some perfect meditation in a peaceful temple, but this imperfect moment in your imperfect bed with your imperfect mind doing its imperfect thing. This is where awakening happens. Not in spite of your racing thoughts, but right in the middle of them. So maybe tonight isn't about sleeping. Maybe it's about discovering that who you really are isn't disturbed by sleeplessness. Maybe it's about finding that peace isn't the absence of thoughts, but the space in which thoughts appear. Or maybe it's just a really long night that will eventually end. That's impermanence for you. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, being exactly who you are. And sometimes that's the most Buddhist thing of all, just being human. Just being here, just being. The Buddha was essentially trying to solve the same problem you're having right now. In your bed, in your pajamas that have seen better days. He wanted to know why the human mind insists on torturing its owner. It's like having a personal assistant who only schedules unnecessary panic attacks. See, the Buddha discovered that you're not actually one person lying here. You're more like a committee. And right now, all the committee members are talking at once. There's past you, reviewing every questionable decision you made. There's future you, catastrophizing about retirement. There's anxious you, who thinks worrying is a form of problem solving. And poor present you is just trying to get some rest while this circus plays out. This is what Buddhists call the 5 aggregates. Think of them as the ingredients that make up your current experience. First, there's form, your physical body, currently horizontal and increasingly frustrated. Then, sensation, what you're feeling. Like that annoying itch that appears the moment you get comfortable. Next is perception, how you're labeling things like insomnia or that weird noise from the refrigerator. Then mental formations, all those lovely thoughts about how terrible tomorrow will be. And finally, consciousness, your awareness of this whole mess. The problem is, you think these aggregates are you. But the Buddha would point out that you're more like the space where all this is happening, not the happening itself. You're the stage, not the drama. Speaking of drama, let's talk about what the Buddha called dependent origination. Everything that's happening right now depends on something else. Your racing thoughts depend on that coffee you had after dinner. which you had because you were tired from last night's poor sleep, which happened because you were worried about that presentation, which exists because you took that job, which you needed because, well, you get the idea. It's like one of those elaborate domino setups, except instead of dominoes, it's your entire life leading to this moment of staring at the ceiling. The good news? You can interrupt the chain. You don't have to follow every thought to its dramatic conclusion. Right now, your mind is doing what Buddhist teachers call papanka, mental proliferation. It's taking the simple fact that you're awake and turning it into a 12-part miniseries about your inevitable doom. Can't sleep becomes, will be exhausted tomorrow. Becomes, will mess up at work. Becomes, will lose job. Becomes, will die alone under a bridge. Your mind should really consider a career in screenwriting. It's got a flair for disaster scenarios. The Buddha suggested something radical. What if you just stopped? Not stopped thinking, but stopped believing every thought is an urgent telegram from reality. Most of your thoughts are more like spam emails. They look important until you actually read them. Let's try what the Buddha called mindfulness of breathing. Not to control your breath or achieve enlightenment or any of that pressure. Just to give your mind something to do besides writing horror stories about tomorrow. Notice your breath. It's been faithfully keeping you alive this whole time without any help from your anxiety. In and out. No effort required. Your body knows how to breathe even better than your mind knows how to worry. And that's saying something. This is what meditation actually is, by the way. Not sitting pretzel-legged on a mountain, but just paying attention to what's already happening. Congratulations, you're meditating. Don't let it go to your head. The Buddha talked about suffering, dukkha, but he didn't mean dramatic, wailing and gnashing of teeth suffering. He meant this exact feeling you have right now, that persistent sense that something's not quite right, that life should be different, that you should be asleep. It's like having a stone in your shoe. Not agonizing, just annoying. And the more you think about it, the more annoying it gets. The second noble truth says this suffering comes from craving and aversion. Right now, you're craving sleep and feeling aversion to wakefulness. It's like being angry at rain for being wet. The rain doesn't care about your opinion, and neither does your current state of alertness. But here's where it gets interesting. The third noble truth says this suffering can end, not by finally falling asleep, though that would be nice, but by changing your relationship to being awake. It's like finally accepting that your difficult relative is who they are. The struggle ends when you stop trying to change what you can't change. The Buddha wasn't suggesting you become a doormat to insomnia. He was pointing out that the real suffering isn't being awake. It's fighting with being awake. It's all the stories you're telling yourself about what this means. Remember impermanence. Everything changes. This sleeplessness will pass. Your racing thoughts will eventually tire themselves out. Even your frustration about being frustrated is already shifting. Nothing stays the same, including this supposedly eternal night. The Buddha discovered something else. There's no fixed you experiencing all this. The you of an hour ago, the one who optimistically got into bed thinking tonight would be different, is gone. The you of tomorrow morning doesn't exist yet. There's just this moment's experience already morphing into the next one. This might sound like philosophical nonsense when you're lying here calculating how many hours until your alarm, but it's immediately practical. If there's no permanent you, then there's no permanent bad sleeper. You're not cursed. You're just experiencing what millions of humans throughout history have experienced. The Buddha called this insight anatta, or non-self. It's not that you don't exist. Your mortgage company certainly thinks you do. It's that you're more fluid than you think. You're like a river, constantly changing, never the same from one moment to the next. The you that can't sleep is just a temporary eddy in the flow. Let's talk about the middle way. Right now, you're swinging between extremes, trying to force sleep and despairing about wakefulness. The middle way suggests a third option, just being. Not trying to sleep, not fighting being awake, just existing. Revolutionary, isn't it? The idea that you don't have to do anything about this moment. That maybe this is just what's happening, neither good nor bad, just is. The Buddha taught about right effort, which doesn't mean trying harder. You've been trying hard your whole life. Right effort is more like wise effort. Sometimes the wisest effort is no effort. Like right now, the effort to sleep is keeping you awake. What if you just stopped trying? This connects to what Buddhists call letting go. Not giving up, not becoming passive, just loosening your grip. You're holding on to consciousness like it's the last cookie in the jar. What if you just put the cookie down? The Buddha observed that we create most of our suffering through what he called the second arrow. The first arrow is what happens. You can't sleep. The second arrow is our reaction. This is terrible. I'm doomed. Why me? You're basically shooting yourself repeatedly while complaining about being wounded. Here's a wild idea. What if you just took the first arrow? You're awake. That's it. No story, no drama, no future catastrophe. Just awake. The Buddha talked about skillful means, using whatever works. Right now, skillful means might be remembering that you've survived every sleepless night so far, or finding humor in the absolute certainty with which your mind predicts tomorrow's disasters. Your mind's prediction accuracy is about as good as those fortune-telling machines at carnivals. Let's explore loving kindness meditation, which starts with being kind to yourself. Radical concept, right? Instead of berating yourself for being awake, what if you talk to yourself like you talk to a friend in the same situation? Hey there, you're having a rough night. That's okay. This happens sometimes. You'll get through this like you always do. See? No one ever achieved enlightenment through self-criticism, though plenty of people have tried. The Buddha emphasized that wisdom isn't something you acquire. It's something you uncover. Like clearing dust off a mirror. Right now, your mirror is covered with thoughts, worries, and that recurring memory of that embarrassing thing you did. But underneath all that dust is clarity. It's always been there. It doesn't need sleep to exist. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It's the part of you that's aware of all this chaos, but isn't chaotic itself. This is what the Buddha meant by Buddha nature. Not some mystical state you have to achieve, but what you already are underneath all the mental noise. You don't become enlightened. You just stop identifying with the static. Speaking of identification, the Buddha noticed we suffer because we identify with our thoughts. Right now, you think you are your insomnia, but you're not. You're the one aware of it. Big difference. You're not the clouds, you're the sky. The clouds of thought come and go, but the sky remains. Even the darkest, stormiest thoughts can't damage the sky itself. The Buddha taught about right understanding, which in your current situation means understanding that this is temporary. even if it doesn't feel like it. Fighting it makes it worse. You're not alone. Insomnia is practically a human tradition. This might actually be useful. When else do you get uninterrupted time to explore consciousness? Okay, that last one might be pushing it when you're exhausted and facing tomorrow's responsibilities. But still, the Buddha discovered that peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the absence of resistance to problems. Right now, you could have peace with insomnia. Not happy about it, but not at war with it either. It's like making peace with rain. You don't have to love it, but fighting it is exhausting and pointless. The rain rains, you get wet, life goes on. The Buddha's path isn't about perfect conditions, it's about finding freedom within imperfect conditions, like right now, in your bed, wide awake when you should be sleeping. But who wrote that should? Some cosmic sleep police? The International Council of Proper Bedtimes? Or just your mind, which also thinks you should have made different choices? The Buddha would suggest examining these shoulds. They're not laws of physics. They're just thoughts wearing authoritative costumes. Here's the thing about Buddhist practice. It's not about achieving special states. It's about being present with ordinary states, like insomnia. Congratulations, you're having a profound spiritual experience. It just happens to feel terrible. But even terrible is just a label. Strip away the label, and what's left? Physical sensations, mental activity, breath going in and out, life happening. The Buddha didn't promise to eliminate difficult experiences. He promised a way to not suffer about them. There's a difference between pain, can't sleep, and suffering, the mental anguish about not sleeping. Right now, you're experiencing both, but you could just experience the first one. Novel idea, right? This is what the Buddha meant by liberation. Not freedom from experiences, but freedom within experiences. Even this one, even insomnia, even now. So here you are, involuntarily studying Buddhist philosophy in your bed. The Buddha would probably find this amusing. He spent years trying to achieve enlightenment through extreme practices, when all along it was available in ordinary moments, like this one, where you're finally starting to see that maybe, just maybe, this sleepless night isn't your enemy. Maybe it's your teacher, and maybe the lesson isn't about sleep at all. Maybe it's about waking up. Well, look at you, still here, still conscious, still engaged in what might be the longest meditation retreat you never signed up for. Your bed has become your monastery. Your racing thoughts are your fellow monks, and that weird sound your house makes, that's your temple bell. Welcome to the advanced course in Buddhist philosophy, where the tuition is paid in lost sleep, and the final exam is whether you can find peace while your neighbor's dog discusses philosophy with the moon. You've made it through the initial panic of, why can't I sleep? Survived the intermediate despair of, I'll never sleep again. And now you're entering what Buddhist masters call the "are you kidding me?" stage of enlightenment. The Buddha himself went through something similar. After years of extreme practices, starving himself until his spine could be felt through his stomach, not recommended. Meditating until birds built nests in his hair, definitely not recommended. He realized something profound. Trying too hard is just another form of suffering. So there he sat under his Bodhi tree, probably around this time of night, thinking, well, this isn't working. And in that moment of giving up, he found what he'd been seeking. The universe has a weird sense of humor like that. Right now, you might be experiencing what Zen masters call the great doubt, Not the small doubt of, did I lock the door? But the existential doubt of, will this night ever end? And do I actually exist? Or am I just a collection of worries pretending to be a person? Congratulations. You're having the same realizations that took ancient monks years of mountain retreats to achieve. And you didn't even have to give up your Netflix subscription. Let's talk about what the Buddha discovered in those pre-dawn hours that made him go, oh. Well, that's embarrassingly obvious. He realized that the whole problem, the entire cosmic joke, is that we're looking for peace everywhere except where it actually is, right here, right now, in this moment. You're looking for sleep in the future. If I fall asleep now, I'll get X hours. But sleep, like enlightenment, only happens in the present. You can't schedule it. You can't force it. You can't negotiate with it. It's like trying to schedule spontaneity or plan a surprise party for yourself. The Buddha called this the paradox of seeking. The more you seek sleep, the more it eludes you. The more you chase peace, the more agitated you become. It's like trying to calm water by smoothing it with your hands. You're the problem you're trying to solve. But here's where it gets interesting. In the deepest part of the night, when all your usual strategies have failed, when you've given up hope of sleep, something shifts. This is what Buddhist teachers call the great release. Though in your case, it might be more like the great whatever. You stop fighting, not because you're wise, but because you're exhausted. Not because you've achieved enlightenment, but because you've run out of options. And in that surrender, something opens. The Buddha talked about the gateless gate, the entrance to peace that's not an entrance because you're already inside. Right now, lying in your bed, you're standing at this gate, the key to opening it. Stop looking for the key. I know. Buddhist paradoxes at this hour feel like someone offering you a riddle when you need a sandwich. But stick with me. You've been approaching sleep like a problem to be solved. But what if it's more like weather? Something that happens when conditions are right. You can't make it rain by worrying about drought. You can't make sleep come by fearing its absence. The Buddha discovered something called the middle way, which sounds like a compromise but is actually more radical. It's not halfway between sleeping and waking. It's stepping out of the whole game. It's like realizing you don't have to win or lose at sleep. You can just be. Right now you're caught in what Buddhists call dualistic thinking. Sleep good, awake bad, rest good, activity bad. But what if, and hear me out, what if being awake right now is exactly what's supposed to be happening? I can feel your skepticism from here. Great. So I'm supposed to be exhausted tomorrow? That's the cosmic plan? But that's not what the Buddha meant. He was pointing to something more subtle. What if this moment, this exact experience of lying awake, contains everything you need? What if the peace you're seeking isn't in some future sleep, but in accepting this present wakefulness? This is what Zen folks call selling water by the river. You're looking everywhere for something you already have. Peace isn't something you achieve after you solve the sleep problem. Peace is what's here when you stop making sleep a problem. Let's try something the Buddha called bare attention. Instead of thinking about your thoughts, just notice them. Instead of trying to sleep, just notice wakefulness. Instead of fighting this moment, just be in it. Notice the weight of your body on the bed. Not to do anything about it, just to notice. Notice the rhythm of your breath. not to change it, just to observe. Notice the thoughts arising, not to judge them, just to see them. This is meditation in its purest form, not sitting cross-legged on a cushion, but lying in bed at some ungodly hour, simply being aware of what is. The Buddha said that most of our suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are. You want to be asleep. Reality is, you're awake. The suffering isn't in the wakefulness, it's in the argument with reality. It's like being upset at gravity for making things fall. Gravity just gravities. Wakefulness just wakes. Your resistance is optional. Here's a mind bender the Buddha would appreciate. What if you're not failing at sleep? What if you're succeeding at meditation? What if this whole sleepless night is exactly what you needed to understand something essential about the nature of mind? In Buddhist texts, they talk about the dark night of the soul, not as punishment, but as a necessary passage. The darkness before dawn, the confusion before clarity, the struggle before surrender. Maybe you're not an insomniac. Maybe you're a night shift Buddha, working the graveyard shift of consciousness. The Buddha taught about right view, seeing things as they actually are. Right now, what's actually happening? Strip away all the stories, all the predictions, all the judgments. What's left? A human being experiencing consciousness. That's it. Everything else is commentary added by your mind's editorial department, which apparently works over time. The Buddha discovered that awareness itself is never tired. The part of you that's aware of tiredness isn't tired. The part that's aware of thoughts isn't thinking. There's a peaceful witness behind all the drama, watching the show without getting pulled on stage. Can you feel it? That quiet awareness behind all the noise. It's been there all along, like the sky behind the clouds. The clouds of thought come and go, but the sky remains untouched. This is what the Buddha meant by Buddha nature, not something you have to earn or achieve, but what you already are beneath all the mental activity. You don't become enlightened. You just stop identifying with the shadows on the wall. Speaking of shadows, let's talk about what Buddhist psychology calls the hindrances. You've got front row seats to the full show tonight. There's desire, wanting things to be different. I want to sleep has become your mantra, repeated with all the effectiveness of wishing for a unicorn. There's aversion, pushing away what's here. You're treating wakefulness like it's personally offended you, like it showed up to your party uninvited and drank all your good wine. There's restlessness, the mental equivalent of pacing in a cage. Your thoughts are doing laps around your skull like they're training for the anxiety Olympics. There's dullness, that heavy, foggy quality that's not quite sleep, but makes thinking feel like swimming through molasses. And there's doubt, questioning whether any of this matters, whether you'll ever sleep again, whether Buddhist wisdom applies to someone whose main spiritual practice is checking their phone. The Buddha's approach to these hindrances wasn't to fight them. It was to recognize them, like spotting old friends at a reunion. Oh, hello anxiety. I see you brought your cousin regret. And look, there's future tripping, fashionably late as always. When you name them, they lose some of their power. They're just mental weather patterns, not permanent residents. Here's something profound, the Buddha realized. Suffering isn't in the experience itself, but in our relationship to it. Pain is inevitable. Sometimes you can't sleep, but suffering is optional. It comes from fighting with the pain. Right now, you could have insomnia without suffering about insomnia. Wild concept, right? like having rain without getting wet. But the Buddha wasn't talking about physical wetness. He was talking about mental resistance. The rain of wakefulness is falling. You can stand there shaking your fist at the sky, or you can just notice, oh, it's raining consciousness tonight. Let's explore what the Buddha called the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which sounds like a construction project, but is actually about building awareness. First foundation, mindfulness of body. Notice your physical experience right now, not to judge it or change it, just to know it. The mattress supporting you, the blanket's weight, that spot on your back that's been weird since you helped your friend move that couch. Your body is here, doing its thing, whether your mind approves or not. Second foundation, mindfulness of feelings. In Buddhism, feelings doesn't mean emotions like I'm sad because my kid never calls. It means the basic tone of experience, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Being awake when you want to sleep, probably landing in the unpleasant category. But notice, the unpleasantness isn't solid. It fluctuates, changes intensity, sometimes even disappears when you're not paying attention to it. Third foundation, mindfulness of mind. This is observing your mental state like you're watching weather patterns. Cloudy with a chance of existential dread, partly anxious with scattered moments of clarity. Your mind has weather, but you're not the weather. You're the one watching it. Fourth foundation, mindfulness of mental objects. These are the specific thoughts, memories, plans that populate your consciousness. Instead of getting lost in their content, you observe them as phenomena. Like watching fish in an aquarium, you can see them without having to swim with them. The Buddha wasn't creating busy work for insomniacs. He was pointing out that when you observe experience clearly, without adding stories, something shifts. The suffering isn't in the insomnia, it's in the narrative about insomnia. Your narrative might be, this is terrible. I'll be exhausted tomorrow. I can't function without sleep. Something's wrong with me. But what if the narrative was, I'm awake? Lots of people are awake right now. This happens sometimes. It's not my preference, but it's workable. Same situation, different suffering level. The Buddha talked about dependent origination. Everything arises based on causes and conditions. Your wakefulness right now isn't random punishment from the universe. It's the result of countless factors. What you ate, what you thought about, your stress levels, the phase of the moon, that article about sleep you read last week that's now making you anxious about being anxious about sleep. Understanding this web of causation doesn't make sleep magically appear, but it removes the personal sting. This isn't happening to you. It's just happening based on conditions, many of which you couldn't control if you tried. Let's talk about what Buddhists call emptiness. Not the depressing kind you feel looking at your retirement account, but the liberating recognition that things don't exist in the solid way we imagine. Your insomnia isn't a thing. It's a label for a collection of experiences: physical alertness, mental activity, emotional frustration, time awareness, tomorrow dread, and so on. Remove any element and the experience changes. This isn't philosophical hair splitting, it's practical. When you see that insomnia is empty of inherent existence, you stop treating it like a solid enemy to defeat. It's more like a cloud, appears solid from a distance, but up close, it's just vapor. The Buddha discovered something called the 3 characteristics of existence. Everything is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. Sounds like a terrible Yelp review for existence, but it's actually liberating. Impermanent means this sleeplessness will pass. It also means if you do fall asleep, that won't last either. Everything's in flux, including your current state of cosmic annoyance. Unsatisfactory doesn't mean life sucks. It means even pleasant experiences have a tinge of anxiety because we know they'll end. Even if you were sleeping peacefully, some part of you would know the alarm will eventually ring. Not self means there's no fixed you experiencing this. The insomniac identity you're wearing isn't permanent. You're not a bad sleeper any more than the ocean is a bad wave maker during a storm. These insights weren't meant to depress you. They're meant to liberate you from taking everything so personally. The universe isn't targeting you with insomnia. You're just experiencing what millions of humans have experienced since we invented the concept of bedtime. The Buddha talked about right effort, which doesn't mean trying harder. You've been trying hard all night. Right effort is more like appropriate effort. Sometimes the most appropriate effort is no effort. It's like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But if you stop fighting, you float. Sleep is similar. The more you chase it, the faster it runs. But if you stop chasing, well, you might not immediately fall asleep, but at least you stop exhausting yourself with the chase. This connects to what Buddhists call Wu Wei, effortless action. It's not doing nothing. It's doing exactly what's needed, no more, no less. Right now, what's needed might just be here, breathing, being human. The Buddha emphasized that awakening isn't something you achieve through force. It's something you allow through understanding. You don't storm the gates of enlightenment. You realize you were never outside them. Same with sleep. You don't conquer it. You allow it. And sometimes, like tonight, it doesn't feel like allowing. That's okay too. The Buddha would say that's perfect material for practice. Let's explore the concept of beginner's mind from Zen Buddhism. It means approaching each moment fresh, without the weight of past experiences. Yes, you've had insomnia before. Yes, it was unpleasant. But this moment of wakefulness is brand new. What if you approached it with curiosity instead of dread? Look at that. I'm awake. I wonder what this is like. Instead of, oh no, not again. This is terrible. I know exactly how this goes. Beginner's mind doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means not assuming you know how everything will unfold. Maybe tonight is different. Maybe this wakefulness has something to teach you. Maybe you'll discover something profound about consciousness. Or maybe you'll just be tired tomorrow. But you don't know yet. The Buddha talked about taking refuge, not hiding from life, but finding shelter in what's reliable. Traditionally, Buddhists take refuge in the Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teachings, and Sangha, the community. But right now, you can take refuge in simpler things. Your breath, it's been keeping you alive all night without your supervision. The present moment, the only one that actually exists. And the fact that millions of people throughout history have survived nights exactly like this. You're part of an ancient lineage of the sleepless, philosophers, poets, parents of newborns, people with big presentations tomorrow, all united in the brotherhood and sisterhood of the wide awake. The Buddha taught about loving kindness meditation, starting with yourself. This is radical now when you're more inclined toward self-criticism. But try it. May I be happy? May I be peaceful? May I accept this moment as it is? May I stop Googling fatal insomnia? Then extend it outward. May all beings who are awake right now find peace. May everyone staring at their ceiling feel less alone. May that person somewhere checking their phone for the 100th time remember they're human, not a sleep-optimized machine. This practice isn't about feeling warm and fuzzy. It's about recognizing our shared humanity. Someone, somewhere, is having exactly the same thoughts you are. There's comfort in that. The Buddha understood that transformation happens not through force, but through awareness. You can't think your way to sleep, but you can observe your way to peace with wakefulness. Watch your thoughts like you're watching a parade. There goes the "I'll never sleep again" float. Here comes the "tomorrow will be awful" marching band. Oh look, the "why me" balloon just passed by. You don't have to join the parade. You can just watch it pass. This is what meditation really is. Not emptying your mind, but changing your relationship to its contents. Instead of being in the thought stream, drowning in worries, you sit on the bank and watch it flow. The Buddha talked about skillful means, using whatever works to reduce suffering. Right now, skillful means might be remembering that you've survived every sleepless night so far, finding humor in your mind's dramatic predictions, practicing gratitude for what's working. Hey, your heart's still beating. Accepting that rest has value even without sleep. The Buddha's path isn't about achieving perfection. It's about finding freedom within imperfection. Your insomnia isn't a failure of spiritual practice. It is spiritual practice. Every moment of wakefulness is a chance to practice presence, acceptance, compassion. Let's talk about what Buddhists call the middle way between extremes. You've been swinging between trying to force sleep and despairing about wakefulness. The middle way is neither forcing nor giving up. It's just being with what is. This is revolutionary thinking. Your whole life, you've been taught that effort solves problems, but some problems dissolve when you stop treating them as problems. Insomnia might be one of them. The Buddha discovered that much of our suffering comes from what he called the second arrow. The first arrow is what happens. You can't sleep. The second arrow is your reaction. All the stories about what this means, all the future catastrophes you're imagining. You can't always avoid the first arrow, but the second arrow, that's optional. You're shooting yourself with second arrows all night. This is terrible. I'm broken. Tomorrow's ruined. What if you just took the first arrow? Simple wakefulness, without adding the dramatic commentary. Here's a Buddhist mindbender. Consciousness is naturally luminous and knowing. It doesn't need sleep to function. The awareness that knows you're tired isn't itself tired. The awareness that observes anxiety isn't anxious. Right now, can you sense that awareness? The knowing that knows you're awake? It's perfectly peaceful, always has been. The drama is in the content of consciousness, not consciousness itself. This is what the Buddha meant by Buddha nature. Not something you achieve, but what you already are beneath the mental noise. You don't have to become peaceful. You just have to notice the peace that's already here, hidden beneath layers of thinking. The Buddha taught that suffering ends not when circumstances change, but when our relationship to circumstances changes. You might still be awake at dawn, but you don't have to suffer about it. You can be wakefully at peace, restlessly calm, alertly accepting. This is the paradox of the Buddhist path. You find what you're seeking when you stop seeking. You achieve peace when you stop trying to achieve. You might even find sleep when you genuinely stop needing it. But that's not the point. The point is, discovering that who you really are isn't disturbed by insomnia or anything else. You're the sky, not the weather. You're the ocean, not the waves. Your awareness itself, naturally peaceful, already free. So here you are, in the deep hours before dawn, accidentally discovering what monks spend years in caves trying to find. The cosmic joke is that enlightenment was hiding in your insomnia all along. The Buddha would probably laugh at this. After all his years of extreme practices, he found awakening by simply sitting down and stopping the struggle. You're finding it by lying down and running out of strategies. Different posture, same discovery. Peace isn't something you achieve. It's what remains when you stop fighting with what is. The night is darkest before dawn, they say. But what if the darkness isn't the enemy? What if it's the perfect condition for seeing your true nature? Luminous awareness that shines even in the absence of sleep. This is your midnight Dharma talk, your involuntary meditation retreat, your unscheduled appointment with wisdom. The Buddha would approve. After all, he found enlightenment under a tree at dawn after a long night of sitting. You're finding yours in bed after a long night of not sleeping. Different setting, same timeless truths emerging in the silence between thoughts. And maybe that's the greatest teaching of all. Awakening finds you exactly where you are, exactly as you are, even if where you are is wide awake at an ungodly hour, wondering if Buddha had to deal with neighbors who mow their lawns at 7 a.m. He probably did, and he probably found peace with that too. The Dharma of insomnia isn't about finally falling asleep. It's about waking up to the peace that's present, even in sleeplessness. It's about discovering that you're already home, even when rest feels far away. So breathe, notice, accept. And if sleep comes, let it. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You're exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, being exactly who you are. And sometimes, in the deepest hours of the night, being awake is its own kind of enlightenment. The Buddha smiled under his Bodhi tree. You can smile in your bed. Different century, same timeless moment of understanding. This is it. This is the practice. This is the path. And you're already walking it, one wakeful breath at a time. Welcome to the night shift of awakening. The hours are terrible, but the wisdom is timeless. And who knows, by the time the sun rises, you might just discover that you were never really lost. You were just finding your way home by a different route, the scenic path through insomnia, guided by teachings that have helped wanderers find peace in the dark for over 2,000 years. The Buddha would be proud, or at least understanding. After all, he knew a thing or two about long nights and the wisdom they can bring. And now, so do you. Sweet dreams, whether sleeping or waking. The peace you're seeking isn't in tomorrow's rest, it's in this moment's acceptance, and that's a teaching worth staying up for. But wait, there's more. Because Buddhist philosophy is like one of those late-night infomercials, except instead of selling you a miracle mop, it's trying to give away peace of mind for free, and you're still suspicious there's a catch. The Buddha talked about something called the 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. Right now, you're being blown about by the winds of pain, can't sleep, and loss, losing sleep, possibly worried about blame from yourself tomorrow, and disrepute, looking tired at that meeting. But here's the thing about wind, you can't stop it. You can build walls, but that just creates more turbulence. The Buddha's suggestion? Become like a mountain. Let the winds blow. The mountain doesn't care. It just mountains. Your insomnia is just weather on the mountain of your being. Storms pass, clouds move, the mountain remains. Speaking of remaining, let's talk about what's actually constant in your experience right now. Your thoughts are changing, your feelings are shifting, your body sensations are fluctuating. But what's aware of all this change? What's the constant witness to this whole insomnia show? That's what the Buddha called the deathless. Not because it's morbid, but because it's the part of you that doesn't come and go with conditions. It's awareness itself, and it's perfectly fine with being awake at unseemly hours. You know what's funny? The Buddha's dad tried to shield him from all suffering by keeping him in a pleasure palace. Didn't work. Your mind's trying to shield you from the suffering of wakefulness by spinning stories about how to escape it. Also not working. Sometimes the way out is through. Not through forcing or fighting, but through simple acknowledgement. Yep, I'm awake. This is what awake feels like. The Buddha discovered something called the 3 doors to liberation: emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness. Let's make them less abstract and more, I need this to make sense. Emptiness. Your insomnia isn't a solid thing. It's made up of thoughts, feelings, sensations, all of which are changing. It's like a university, seems solid from the outside, but it's really just buildings, people, and ideas, all of which could change. Signlessness. Stop looking for signs that sleep is coming. Stop interpreting every yawn, every heavy eyelid, every moment of quiet as maybe now. These signs are just more thoughts. Sleep doesn't announce its arrival. It just arrives. Wishlessness. This is the advanced level. Not even wishing for sleep. Not because you're giving up, but because you're so okay with this moment that sleep becomes optional. Like when you stop caring if your crush texts back, and suddenly they do. The universe is weird like that. The Buddha taught about right mindfulness, which includes mindfulness of death. Now, before you panic that we're getting too heavy for insomnia hour, hear me out. Remembering impermanence, including our own, has a way of putting sleepless nights in perspective. In the vast scheme of things, losing one night's sleep isn't the catastrophe your mind's making it out to be. You've lost nights before, you'll lose them again, and someday you'll sleep the longest sleep of all. Makes tonight seem less dramatic, doesn't it? But let's not get too philosophical. Let's talk about what the Buddha called the 4 immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. These are like emotional superpowers, and you can practice them right now, horizontal and frustrated. Loving kindness, already covered. Be nice to your sleepless self. Compassion, feel for everyone else who's awake right now, scrolling through their phones, wondering if melatonin actually works, or if it's just expensive placebo. Sympathetic joy, be happy for everyone who is sleeping. Your partner snoring beside you, your neighbor who never seems stressed, that friend who claims they fall asleep the moment their head hits the pillow. Don't resent their rest. It proves sleep is possible in this universe. Equanimity, the advanced practice. Equal acceptance of sleep and wakefulness. Not preferring one over the other. Okay, this one's tough. Maybe just aim for slightly less desperate attachment to unconsciousness. The Buddha talked about different types of concentration. There's access concentration, just enough focus to stay with an object. That's what you need right now. Not laser focus, just gentle attention. Like watching clouds, not analyzing their molecular structure. Then there's absorption concentration, deeper states where you lose sense of time and self. You might accidentally achieve this while staring at your ceiling. Congratulations, you've reached what monks train years for. Too bad it's not as restful as they make it sound. Here's something practical from Buddhist psychology. The mind inclines toward whatever it frequently thinks about. If you spend every sleepless night catastrophizing, guess what your mind's going to do next time you can't sleep? It's like training a dog to bark at mailmen, then wondering why it won't stop, but you can train it differently. Each moment you spend peacefully awake is retraining your mind. Oh, we can be awake without panicking. Interesting. Your future self will thank you. The Buddha emphasized that suffering isn't punishment, it's information. Your insomnia is telling you something. Maybe it's about stress or caffeine, or that your mind needs more space to process life. But it's definitely telling you about your relationship to control. You can't control sleep. Join the club of things you can't control, which includes other people, the weather, the stock market, and whether your sports team wins. Quite a club. The membership fees are high, but the freedom is worth it. Let's talk about what Buddhists call the near enemies. States that look like spiritual qualities, but aren't. The near enemy of equanimity is indifference. You might think you're being zen about insomnia when really you're just resigned. True equanimity has engagement, curiosity, aliveness. The near enemy of compassion is pity. Feeling sorry for yourself isn't compassion. It's just another form of suffering. True compassion says, this is hard, and I'm here for myself through it. The Buddha taught about wise attention versus unwise attention. Unwise attention fixates on, why me? When will this end? What's wrong with me? Wise attention notices body lying down, breath happening, thoughts arising, awareness aware. Simple, but not easy, like most worthwhile things. Here's a Buddhist take on time. The past is memory, the future is imagination, the present is reality. Right now, you're suffering about tomorrow's tiredness, imagination, based on previous experiences of sleeplessness, memory. The actual reality, you're just lying here breathing. The Buddha wasn't big on metaphysics, but he did point out that consciousness is weird. It can know itself. Right now, you're aware that you're aware. You're conscious of consciousness. This recursive loop is either profound spiritual insight or what happens when you've been awake too long, maybe both. Let's explore the Buddhist concept of no self in a way that won't break your already tired brain. You're not a fixed thing called an insomniac. You're a process. Breathing happening, thinking happening, wakefulness happening. The labels are just convenient fictions. It's like a river. We call it the Mississippi, as if it's one solid thing, but it's really water flowing. You're like that. Experiences flowing. Tonight, insomnia is part of the flow. Tomorrow, something else will be. The Buddha taught that clinging causes suffering. You're clinging to the idea of sleep, like it's the last life raft on a sinking ship. But what if you're already floating? What if wakefulness is just another way of being carried by the stream of existence? Here's something they don't put on meditation app advertisements. Sometimes practice is boring. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's lying in bed at ridiculous hours, wondering if ancient wisdom applies to modern insomnia. Spoiler, it does. The Buddha talked about skillful versus unskillful actions. Checking your phone right now? Probably unskillful. The blue light isn't helping, and your ex's vacation photos definitely aren't. Noticing your breath? Skillful. Not exciting, but skillful. Let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant that's not in the room. Sleep. The Buddha taught about craving as the root of suffering. Right now, you're experiencing firsthand what happens when you crave something that won't come when called. Sleep is like a cat. The more desperately you want it to sit in your lap, the more it ignores you, act indifferent, and suddenly it's all over you. The Buddha understood cats and sleep and the perverse nature of desire. You know what's interesting about Buddhist cosmology? They have all these realms of existence: heavenly realms, hell realms, hungry ghost realms. Right now, you might feel like you're in the can't sleep realm, which isn't in the traditional texts, but probably should be. The good news, all realms are impermanent, even the can't sleep realm. This too shall pass. It might pass at 3 a.m. It might pass at 5 a.m., but it will pass. Everything does. The Buddha taught about right livelihood, which usually means ethical work. But let's expand it. Right livelihood also means living in a way that supports well-being. That might mean less caffeine, more exercise, fewer true crime documentaries before bed. Just saying. But tonight's not about lifestyle changes. It's about finding peace with what is, even if what is happens to be your 7th hour of consciousness when you'd really prefer unconsciousness. Here's a wild Buddhist idea. What if this insomnia is exactly what you need? Not in a masochistic way, but in a the universe is conspiring to teach you something way. Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you acceptance. Maybe it's teaching you that you're stronger than you think. Or maybe it's just insomnia, and the meaning-making is your mind's way of passing time. The Buddha would probably say both can be true. Let's talk about the Buddhist concept of merit. Traditionally, it's the good karma you accumulate through virtuous actions. But I'd argue that every moment you spend not completely losing your mind during insomnia is accumulating merit. You're basically a spiritual athlete right now. The Buddha taught about the 3 jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Right now, you can take refuge in Buddha, meaning the fact that someone actually figured this stuff out. Then there's Dharma, these teachings that somehow still apply to your current crisis. And finally Sangha, the invisible community of everyone else who's awake right now, probably listening to something similar, wondering if ancient wisdom really works on modern insomnia. You're not alone. You're part of a global Sangha of the sleepless. There's weird comfort in that. The Buddha talked about Vedana, the feeling tone of experience. Not emotions, but the basic pleasant, unpleasant, neutral quality. Right now, notice the unpleasantness of wakefulness, the pleasantness of your soft pillow, the neutrality of distant traffic sounds. It's all just Vedana, rising and passing. Here's some advanced Buddhism for your advanced insomnia. The teaching of 2 truths, conventional truth and ultimate truth. Conventional truth, you can't sleep and it sucks. Ultimate truth, there's no separate you to have insomnia, just this moment's experience unfolding. Both are true. You can honor your conventional suffering while remembering ultimate freedom. It's like being in a movie. You can feel the emotions while knowing it's just a film. The Buddha emphasized direct experience over belief. You don't have to believe these teachings will help. Just experiment. Notice what happens when you stop fighting wakefulness. Notice what happens when you treat yourself kindly. Notice what happens when you remember this is temporary. Your bedroom has become a laboratory for consciousness research. You're basically a scientist now. A very tired scientist, but still. Speaking of science, Modern research is confirming what the Buddha knew. Mindfulness changes your relationship to difficult experiences. It doesn't make insomnia go away, but it makes it workable. Like the difference between being in pain and suffering about pain. The Buddha taught that intention matters. Your intention right now might be, just survive until morning. That's valid. But what if your intention shifted to, use this wakefulness to understand my mind better? Same insomnia, different journey. Let's be real though. Sometimes spiritual practice feels like putting lipstick on a pig. You're exhausted, frustrated, and someone, me, is telling you about ancient wisdom. The Buddha would get it. He tried everything before finding the middle way. But here's what's beautiful. The path doesn't require perfection. It just requires presence. And you're nailing presence right now. You're so present you can't escape into sleep. That's something. The Buddha talked about karma vipaka, the fruits of action. The fruit of fighting sleep is more wakefulness. The fruit of accepting wakefulness is, well, you'll have to find out. That's the experiment you're running tonight. Remember the Buddha's fire sermon? Everything is burning with desire, aversion, delusion. Right now, you're burning with desire for sleep. But what if you just let yourself burn? Not in a destructive way, but like a candle, steady, bright, eventually burning itself out. Here's some Buddhist humor. Why did the monk refuse Ambien? Because he preferred natural awareness. The Buddha probably wouldn't laugh at this either. He was more into profound silence than dad jokes. But seriously, the Buddha understood that sometimes you need lightness on the path. Taking your insomnia too seriously is just another form of suffering. Can you find any absurdity in lying here, having an existential crisis in your pajamas? The Buddha taught about the middle way in everything. Not too tight, not too loose, like tuning a guitar. Right now, you're strung way too tight about sleep. What would loosening feel like? Not giving up, just relaxing the grip. Here's a practice. Count your exhales, not to fall asleep, just to have something to do besides catastrophizing. 1, 2, forget what number you're on. Start over. This is meditation, not a performance review. The Buddha discovered that labels create limitation. Insomniac is just a label. Bad sleeper is just a label. What if you dropped all labels and just experienced this moment raw, unnamed? You know what's fascinating? The Buddha achieved enlightenment just by sitting still and watching his mind. You're lying still and watching your mind. You're basically 90% of the way there. The other 10% is probably letting go of needing to be anywhere else. The Buddhist teaching on right speech includes silence. Sometimes the most profound response to insomnia is no response, no internal commentary, no problem solving, just spacious silence containing whatever arises. But let's be honest, maintaining noble silence at 3 a.m. is like maintaining a diet at a buffet. Theoretically possible, rarely achieved. The Buddha would understand. He was human too. Here's the thing about Buddhist practice. It works even when you think it's not working. Every moment of awareness, even awareness of frustration, is practice. You're not failing at meditation. You're succeeding at being human. The Buddha taught that everything is interconnected. Your insomnia connects to your thoughts, your dinner, the moon phase, global anxiety levels, the invention of artificial light, and that coffee shop that makes espresso too strong. It's all one big web. Understanding interconnection means realizing you're not personally failing at sleep. You're part of a vast network of causes and conditions. It's not personal, it's just what's happening. Let's talk about Buddha nature again. It's not something you develop. It's what you are when you stop trying to be something else. Right now, trying to be a sleeper is obscuring your natural wakefulness. What if wakefulness is your Buddha nature tonight? The Buddha said suffering ceases when craving ceases. You don't have to cease craving forever, just for this breath. Then maybe the next. That's the whole path. One breath at a time. And if you're thinking, great, now I'm craving the cessation of craving, welcome to the Buddhist Paradox Club. We meet whenever we can't sleep. Here's the ultimate Buddhist plot twist. Seeking enlightenment is just another form of craving. Seeking sleep is too. What's left when you give up seeking? Just this. Just here. Just breathing in the dark. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it's plenty. Maybe it's exactly what the Buddha was pointing to all along, the perfection of this imperfect moment. And maybe tomorrow night you'll sleep like a baby. Or maybe you'll be here again, exploring consciousness with your reluctant teacher, insomnia. Either way, you'll handle it, because that's what humans do. That's what Buddhas do. The night is still dark, but something has shifted. Not outside, but inside. The war with wakefulness has paused. A truce has been called. And in that pause, that peace, something deeper than sleep, refreshes you. This is what the Buddha found under his tree. Not escape from difficulty, but freedom within it. Not the end of challenges, but the end of suffering about them. And now you've found it too, in your own way, in your own time, in your own bed. The Dharma of insomnia has been transmitted. The teaching is complete. Or maybe it's just beginning. After all, there's still time before dawn. Time for more practice, more presence, more peace with what is. The Buddha smiled. You can too. Because if you can find peace here, you can find it anywhere. And that's the real awakening. The Buddha often used the metaphor of a raft to describe his teachings. You use the raft to cross the river of suffering, but you don't carry it on your head once you reach the other shore. Right now, these teachings are your raft across the river of insomnia. Use what works, leave what doesn't. But here's the thing about rivers at night. They look different, deeper, more mysterious. Maybe your insomnia is showing you a different view of the river of consciousness, one that daytime crossers never see. The Buddha talked about right understanding, which starts with understanding the Four Noble Truths. But at this hour, let's translate them into insomnia noble truths. First, truth. Sleeplessness happens. Second truth, fighting it makes it worse. Third truth, peace is possible even without sleep. Fourth truth, here's how, through acceptance, awareness, and maybe a touch of cosmic humor about the whole situation. Let's explore what Buddhists call the 6 sense doors: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind. Yes, mind is considered a sense door in Buddhism. Right now, your mind door is wide open, broadcasting the late-night anxiety show. But you can observe this just like you'd observe sound or touch, as phenomena arising and passing. Notice your other sense doors right now. The darkness or dim light through your eyes, the sound of your house settling, maybe distant traffic, the taste of, well, probably nothing, unless you're stress-eating crackers in bed. No judgment. The touch of sheets, the weight of blankets, these sensations are just happening without drama. It's only the mind door that's creating the theatrical production of Why Can't I Sleep? The musical. The Buddha emphasized that suffering arises when we identify with our experiences rather than observing them. Right now, you might be thinking, I am an insomniac, rather than insomnia is happening. See the difference? One is an identity crisis, the other is just weather passing through consciousness. Speaking of consciousness, let's dive into what Buddhist psychology calls the bhavanga, the ground of becoming, the background awareness that's always present. Even in your most agitated moments tonight, there's been this steady awareness underneath, watching the whole show. It's like the screen in a movie theater. The drama plays across it, but the screen itself remains unchanged. Can you sense that screen-like awareness right now? The part that's aware of your frustration, but isn't itself frustrated. That's what the Buddha pointed to as your true refuge. Here's a Buddhist brain teaser for your sleepless mind. If everything is impermanent, including this moment of wakefulness, then your insomnia is already ending. It's ending so slowly you can't perceive it, like watching grass grow or paint dry. But it is ending. Everything is always ending and beginning simultaneously. The Buddha talked about sila, samadhi, prajna, ethics, concentration, and wisdom. Right now, your ethics might just be not waking anyone else with your tossing and turning. Your concentration is probably shot. But wisdom can arise precisely in these difficult moments when all your usual strategies have failed. Sometimes wisdom looks like finally getting the joke that you've been trying to use your mind to solve a problem created by your mind. It's like trying to bite your own teeth or wash water. The Buddha would definitely see the humor in this. Let's talk about what Buddhists call the 3 times: past, present, and future. Your mind has been time traveling all night, regretting the past. Why did I have that late coffee? Fearing the future, tomorrow will be horrible, and missing the present entirely. But the present is the only time that actually exists. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but this breath, this moment, this is real. The Buddha discovered that most of our suffering comes from wanting to be somewhere else, someone else. Right now, you want to be in tomorrow morning, already rested, or in an alternate timeline where you fell asleep hours ago. But the only place peace exists is here, now, in this supposedly wrong moment. Here's something profound hidden in your insomnia. You're experiencing what Buddhists call dukkha, the suffering of suffering. You're not just experiencing wakefulness, you're suffering about your suffering, creating meta-suffering, suffering squared. It's like compound interest, but for misery. The antidote: stop adding layers. Just let there be simple wakefulness, without the elaborate story about what it means. The Buddha taught about wise attention versus unwise attention. Unwise attention asks, why is this happening to me? Wise attention asks, what is this? Not analyzing, just curious. What is this experience of lying awake actually like when you strip away all the drama? You might discover it's just energy in the body, thoughts in the mind, breath coming and going. Not pleasant, but not the catastrophe your mind's been producing either. Let's explore the Buddhist concept of Vedana, feeling tone, more deeply. Every experience has a feeling tone, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Your bed, probably pleasant. Being awake, unpleasant. The sound of your own breathing, potentially neutral. The Buddha's insight was that we don't suffer from Vedana itself, but from our reactions to it. The unpleasant feeling of wakefulness isn't the problem. The problem is the mental proliferation. This is unpleasant, therefore wrong, therefore I'm failing, therefore tomorrow is ruined, therefore my life is falling apart. See how quickly unpleasant Vedana becomes existential crisis. That's the magic trick of the untrained mind. Here's what the Buddha might say if he were lying next to you right now. Weird image, but go with it. Friend, you're identified with the content of consciousness rather than resting in consciousness itself. You're caught in the movie instead of remembering you're in the theater. The Buddha's teaching on dependent origination shows how one thing leads to another in a chain of causation. Your current insomnia chain might look like stress led to racing thoughts, which led to physical tension, which led to more wakefulness, which led to anxiety about wakefulness, which led to more tension. But here's the liberating part. You can break the chain at any link. You can't undrink that afternoon coffee, but you can stop adding anxiety to wakefulness. You can't force relaxation, but you can stop tensing against tension. The Buddha talked about the middle way between eternalism and nihilism. In your current situation, eternalism is thinking, I'll never sleep again. Nihilism is thinking, nothing matters, existence is meaningless. The middle way recognizes, I'm awake now, I'll probably sleep eventually, and this experience has whatever meaning I give it. Let's be honest about something the Buddha knew well. The spiritual path isn't always blissful. Sometimes it's lying awake at ungodly hours, trying to apply ancient wisdom to modern problems, wondering if enlightenment comes with a sleep guarantee. Spoiler, it doesn't. Even enlightened beings need sleep. They just don't suffer about needing it. The Buddha taught about the 5 hindrances to meditation. We covered them earlier, but let's revisit them as the 5 hindrances to sleep. Wanting, craving unconsciousness. Aversion, hating wakefulness. Dullness, that heavy but not sleepy feeling. Restlessness, your current specialty. And doubt, wondering if you'll ever sleep normally again. The approach to all 5 is the same. Recognition without resistance. Oh, hello restlessness. I see you. You can stay, but I'm not serving tea. Here's a deep Buddhist teaching hiding in plain sight. The nature of mind is luminous and knowing. Even in your exhaustion, awareness remains bright. Even in confusion, knowing knows the confusion. This luminous awareness doesn't need sleep. It's what remains aware even in dreams. Right now, you're intimate with this luminous awareness because everything else has fallen away. You're too tired for pretense, too frustrated for spiritual bypassing. There's just this raw, direct experience of being conscious. That's pretty close to what the Buddha was pointing to. The Buddha emphasized that realization doesn't come from adding something new, but from removing misconceptions. Your misconception tonight might be that peace requires sleep, but peace is available right now in the midst of sleeplessness. It's just obscured by the belief that this moment should be different. Let's talk about karmic formations, the patterns and habits that shape our experience. Your mind has karmic formations around sleep, beliefs about how much you need, what happens without it, what it means when you can't get it. These formations are creating more suffering than the actual wakefulness. But karma isn't fate. It's just pattern, and patterns can change. Every moment you spend peacefully awake is creating new karma, new patterns. You're literally rewiring your relationship to sleep and wakefulness right now. The Buddha talked about the 4 efforts: preventing unwholesome states, abandoning them if they've arisen, cultivating wholesome states, and maintaining them. Right now, you might focus on abandoning the unwholesome state of sleep anxiety and cultivating the wholesome state of acceptance. But here's the twist. Sometimes the effort to abandon unwholesome states becomes an unwholesome state itself. The effort to stop worrying becomes a worry. This is why the Buddha emphasized wisdom over force. Here's a teaching that might actually help. The Buddha distinguished between pain and suffering. Pain, or in your case tiredness, is inevitable. Suffering is the mental and emotional reaction to pain. You can't avoid feeling tired tomorrow, but you can avoid the suffering of anticipating that tiredness all night. The Buddha's contemporary, Mahavira, founder of Jainism, taught extreme asceticism. The Buddha tried that path, starving himself, exposing himself to elements, probably staying awake for days. Know what he discovered? Extremes don't lead to liberation. The middle way does. So don't turn your insomnia into an extreme spiritual practice. Don't try to achieve enlightenment through sleep deprivation. Just be gently, wisely present with what is. Let's explore the Buddhist understanding of sankhara, mental formations or conditioning. Your reaction to insomnia is conditioned by past experiences, cultural beliefs about sleep, health articles you've read, stories from other insomniacs. This conditioning is running the show right now, but conditioning can be unconditioned. Not through force, but through seeing it clearly. When you see that your catastrophic thoughts about tomorrow are just conditioning, not reality, they lose their power. The Buddha often taught through questions rather than answers. So here's a question for your sleepless contemplation. Who is aware of the insomnia? Not the personality that's frustrated by it, but the awareness itself. That awareness isn't tired, isn't frustrated, isn't measuring time. It just is. In Zen, they talk about selling water by the river, offering people what they already have. Right now, I'm selling you peace by the river of your own awareness. You already have what you're seeking. The seeking itself is the only barrier. Here's the final paradox of your sleepless night. The very wakefulness you're fighting contains the awakening you're seeking. Your insomnia has become your meditation hall. Your frustration has become your teacher. Your exhaustion has become your practice. The Buddha found liberation not by escaping difficulty, but by understanding it so completely that it lost its power to create suffering. Tonight, you're on that same path, whether you realize it or not. And maybe that's the greatest gift of insomnia. It forces you to confront your mind directly, without distractions, without escapes. It's like an involuntary meditation retreat, minus the organic meals and sunset chanting. So here you are, in the deepest hours before dawn, accidentally discovering what monks spend lifetimes seeking. Direct encounter with the nature of mind. Your insomnia has become your Bodhi tree. Your bed has become your meditation cushion. And this endless night has become your path to understanding. The Buddha would recognize this moment. After all, he too sat through the long night before his awakening, facing every demon his mind could conjure. You're in good company, and who knows, maybe by the time the sun rises, you'll have discovered something more valuable than sleep. The peace that doesn't depend on conditions, the awareness that doesn't need rest, the freedom that's available even in the midst of difficulty. Or maybe you'll just be really tired tomorrow. That's okay too. The Buddha was reportedly quite tired after his enlightenment. Turns out, awakening doesn't exempt you from human biology, but it does change your relationship to it. And that change, that's already happening, one wakeful breath at a time. Welcome to the pathless path, the gateless gate, the teaching that's always available in the University of Insomnia. Class is in session, and you're both student and teacher, problem and solution, question and answer. The night is still deep, but something has shifted. Not outside, but inside, and that shift. That's what the Buddha was pointing to all along. Sweet dreams, whether sleeping or waking. The peace you seek is already here, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in the very wakefulness you've been trying to escape. And that's the cosmic joke that makes even the Buddha smile. But wait, the Dharma doesn't end just because you're reaching your limit. The Buddha would say that's exactly when the real teaching begins. When you think you can't go on, when you've exhausted all strategies, when you're sure you've heard everything there is to hear about accepting wakefulness. You know what's fascinating about the Buddha's enlightenment story? After that famous night under the Bodhi tree, he wasn't sure if anyone would understand what he'd discovered. He thought about just keeping quiet. Can you imagine? Sorry, everyone. Enlightenment is too complicated to explain. Good luck with your suffering. But then he remembered what it is like to suffer, to lie awake with racing thoughts. Okay, maybe not exactly like your current Netflix recommendation-induced insomnia, but close enough. And he decided to teach for 45 years. That's dedication. Or maybe he just had really good stamina from all those sleepless nights seeking truth. Here's something they don't put in the meditation apps. The Buddha's teachings were often contradictory. Not because he was confused, but because different people needed different medicine. Some needed to hear let go. Others needed to hear make an effort. Some needed everything is impermanent. Others needed Buddha nature is eternal. Right now, what's your medicine? Maybe it's the reminder that this sleeplessness contains its own wisdom. Or maybe it's permission to stop trying so hard to find wisdom and just be irritated for a while. The Buddha would probably say both are valid. Let's talk about the Buddhist concept of upaya, skillful means. It's like having a spiritual toolbox. Sometimes you need a hammer, strong determination. Sometimes you need a feather, gentle acceptance. Tonight, you've probably been using the wrong tools, like trying to hammer your way to sleep, when what you need is the feather touch of allowing. The Buddha was big on lists, 4 noble truths, 8-fold path, 5 precepts, 3 jewels. If he were teaching today, he'd probably have a podcast called 37 Factors of Enlightenment, or a YouTube channel, Buddha Reacts to Your Existential Crisis. But all these lists point to the same thing. Wake up from the dream of separation. Right now you feel separate from sleep, fighting with wakefulness. But what if sleep and wakefulness are just 2 sides of the same coin of consciousness? Here's a Buddhist dad joke. Why did the Buddha refuse sleeping pills? Because he preferred awakening tablets. I can feel your exhausted eye roll from here. But seriously, humor has its place on the path. The Dalai Lama giggles. Zen masters were known for outrageous statements. Maybe your insomnia needs less solemn wisdom and more cosmic comedy. The Buddha talked about the divine abodes, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Right now, your divine abode might feel more like cranky tiredness, self-pity, envy of sleepers, and resignation. That's okay. Even divine abodes have visiting hours. You know what's interesting? The Buddha's first sermon after enlightenment was to 5 ascetics who used to practice extreme self-denial with him. They were skeptical. Look who's talking, Mr. I gave up on harsh practices. But then they saw something in him had changed. Maybe tomorrow, someone will see something different in you too. Not because you finally slept, but because you finally made peace with not sleeping. Though they might just think you need coffee, which you probably will. The Buddhist concept of emptiness gets misunderstood. It doesn't mean nothing exists. It means things don't exist in the solid, permanent way we imagine. Like your insomnia, it feels solid and permanent right now, but it's actually made of countless changing conditions. Alter any condition, and the experience shifts. Maybe the condition that needs altering isn't your wakefulness, but your war with it. Here's something practical from Buddhist psychology. The mind inclines toward whatever it frequently contemplates. You've been contemplating sleep problems so intensely that your mind has become an expert in insomnia. Congratulations on your unofficial PhD in sleeplessness studies. But you can redirect this expertise. Start contemplating peace with wakefulness. Not because it'll make you sleep, but because it'll make you suffer less while awake. The Buddha said that everything conditioned is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. Your insomnia is definitely conditioned by stress, caffeine, that horror movie you watched, planetary alignment, who knows? Therefore, it's impermanent, even though it feels eternal. Unsatisfactory, obviously, and not self. You are not your insomnia, even if it feels like you're becoming one with it. One last teaching for your horizontal meditation marathon. The Buddha emphasized that liberation isn't about changing your circumstances, but about changing your relationship to them. You might still be awake at dawn, but you don't have to be at war with wakefulness. The ancient texts say that on the night of his enlightenment, the Buddha touched the earth and called it to witness his awakening. Tonight, you can touch your mattress and call it to witness your acceptance. It's not the same as enlightenment, but it's a start. And sometimes, a start is all we need. The path of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The path through insomnia begins with a single breath of acceptance. So breathe, accept, and if sleep comes, let it. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You're already practicing the deepest teaching, being present with what is, even when what is happens to be a seemingly endless night. The Buddha would approve, or at least he'd understand. After all, awakening comes in many forms. Sweet dreams, whenever they arrive. And if they don't, sweet awareness, that's good too. The Dharma of insomnia is now complete. Or maybe it's just beginning. With Buddhist teachings, you never really know. And that uncertainty, that's the final lesson. Peace be with you, fellow traveler of the night. The dawn always comes, but awakening is already here.